Okay, thanks to all our listeners for joining us again for another session today. Today, really pleased to be joined by Jim Hirschauer. Jim, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and I'm joined as
You did.
always by my co-host Sunil. We need no introduction, but Jim, it'd be great if you could tell our listeners a little bit about you. And over to you, Jim. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Hirschauer. I am the head of product marketing at a company called Xurrent. And I've been in marketing for about a decade at this point. But before that, I was a practitioner. So I come out of the IT operations space. I started my career as a Unix system administrator. I moved on to become a monitoring architect, was architect and monitoring solutions for large financial services companies for many years. So I have this kind of broad background and eventually transitioned into the marketing side of things by becoming a tech evangelist, which, that name is an interesting one. I didn't even know what it was when I heard it originally, but essentially for anyone that's not familiar, I tried to get accepted at many different conferences for speaking slots. And I started talking about my experiences in IT operations. And so that's ultimately what led me here to Xurrent, which with Xurrent, we have an ITSM and ESM platform. We're also expanding out into other areas. And I think we'll talk a lot more about that in this upcoming session.
We certainly shall.
Thank you, Jim.
So I think, Dan, to save your voice, which is suffering from the winter bug that's going around, I'll kick off with question one. So thank you, first of all, Jim, for joining us, right? And actually, your background is, I think, exactly what we need on this podcast, because what we want is, the aim of the podcast, as our listeners will know, is to try and translate some of the technology features and capabilities that platforms like Xurrent have, right, into the actual business outcomes that our customers should be expecting, right? The sorts of challenges that you will help them overcome. So I think you're the right guy, which is excellent. About 12 months ago, we spoke to the founder of For.me. So many of our listeners will know that For.me has since become Xurrent. And Core Winkler Prins talked us through the sort of the history of For.me, how he came up with the idea and then the solution as that was built. He talked a lot about the sort of service-orientated architecture that sits behind the platform that kind of differentiates it, I think, from many of the competitors out there. But in the last 12 months, obviously, Xurrent, or For.me became Xurrent. A new management team has been brought in, and I think 2024 was kind of a year of transition. I think that's probably fair to say, but we're now into 2025. So maybe just talk us through a little bit about what within Xurrent you see as the kind of opportunity in the ITSM ESM marketplace. What is it about Xurrent that sort of positions well to fulfill that opportunity?
Yeah, so let me do this for a second. Let me talk about 2024, because I think it's important to address that. So yes, the company was called For.me. There was a growth equity injection of capital and a transition of the name of the company. And, it's interesting. People always ask me how to pronounce the name of the company. First of all, you've already pronounced it properly as Xurrent. And what does this crazy made up word mean? So I want to just address that right away, because I think it's really interesting. As the CEO of our company was trying to figure out what should the new name of the company be, he put a lot of thought into it. There was a lot of direct, thoughtful effort put in, and really had this word current resonating in his mind. And current, we know the word current is related to electricity, right? It defines flows of electricity, flows of air, flows of water. And so that kept resonating in this process of, hey, that flow is very dynamic. It's ever changing. And that's what we want Xurrent to be. So as the name of the company was being thought about, it's like, well, how does this relate to the company that we're going to continue to build given this growth equity injection of capital? So the word Xurrent is rooted in the word current, this electric, dynamic, ever-changing thing. And then the X was added to the front to replace the C because of our cross-collaboration features. So when you think about Xurrent, what it really is, it's a collaboration platform, right? Whether someone has a problem and they call in and a ticket is raised, and someone picks that up, it is built around collaboration and collaborative workflows, collaborative automations. So that's where the name came from. It reflects who we are as a company, what we do as a company, and we keep that at the heart and soul of everything we do and every decision we make in this company now. So hopefully that helps everyone understand this term and who we believe we are as a company, who we strive to be as a company.
That's well, as a representative of a company called Accession, we share a letter in common there, don't we? So I think we can all get on board here with the idea of that collaboration and the thought process behind that. So that's very interesting. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me get back to your original question now about, how are we different essentially, right? So this is a crowded market space. The ITSM space, the ESM space, it's quite crowded. It's mature. It's been around for a while. If you look at Gartner even discontinued the Magic Quadrant for ITSM platforms in 2022. And they did that because it was a mature market. So trying to do analysis on very limited differentiation didn't make much sense for the analyst community. So there are interesting things that I've come to realize since starting to work for Xurrent that there's some meaningful differentiation within ITSM and ESM platforms. And you really need to peel back the layers a little bit to understand them. And it's very simple at the end of the day. We talk to many current customers or former customers of a very large 800-pound gorilla in our space, ITSM provider. And I constantly hear that, there are these challenges with the amount of resources that it takes to manage the system. The upgrade process is fragile. And when they upgrade, it breaks things because there's so much customization. Like one of the powers of that particular platform is heavy customization. But when you get into heavy customization, you run the risk that when you upgrade your platform, you're going to break things. And so many of the people that walk up to me at events will talk about these problems and challenges, slowness in their particular platform of choice. So there's lots of areas to really differentiate. And one of the interesting things about Xurrent is it was built as a cloud native platform. And so that's probably in your last conversation that you had with the founder of, for me, the previous company, probably mentioned this cloud native concept. And this cloud native, being cloud native, it really enables some great outcomes, right? Sunil, you mentioned, hey, at the end of the day, what are the outcomes? Well, one of the outcomes is speed. So our platform, 95% of the page requests respond in 350 milliseconds or less. So I'm not sure if most people are aware of what 350 milliseconds is, but that's almost instantaneous. That's like you could click on 3 different pages within a single second and they would all return to you, and no one's going to do that. So it's nearly instantaneous. Yeah. Right. So imagine you're working a service desk, you're the service desk employee, and you click on something and your page takes 10 to 20 seconds to load. It's an eternity. It slows you down, right? If you're the service desk manager, your employees are spending so much of their day just waiting on the system to respond. It simply doesn't happen in Xurrent, right? We're just lightning fast, which is a great experience for everyone working the desk as well as the customer on the other end. I've been on the other end of that call, and the support person has said, I need you to bear with me. My system is running slow. That's not what I want to hear when I have a problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. Another interesting thing about being cloud native is it's super easy to manage. That upgrade process that I mentioned, where sometimes competing products can cause some trouble during an upgrade process. We don't hit that. We simply really don't hit those issues. Our customers all get upgraded by us, so it doesn't take many people to manage the platform itself. Most of our customers are managing it with less than one full-time employee. So it's huge from a resource savings perspective. You don't cause yourself a lot of pain when you're upgrading. You're always at the latest version with all of the security fixes. It's all done for you, which is a beautiful thing in a modern world, to just consume a service and really not have to worry about that service and all of the management headaches that go with that. And then one final thing I'll just say here is, because we are cloud native, data, where that data resides, can be very important. And we have a huge customer base in Europe. There are, heavy data privacy laws in Europe and restrictions on where data can live. It's a different world than over in the US. Things are a bit more lax where I'm located in the US. So it's really important to many of our customers, and even some of our customers in the US, where data resides. And so being cloud native, we have many, many different locations that the data can reside around the world. And it's a huge competitive advantage for us.
Yeah. The platform's built on AWS, right?
It is.
So you
absolutely.
take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to sum up there then, so we're talking great user experience, we're talking hands-free upgrades, people remain current all the time, and data sovereignty, taken care of.
Absolutely. Think about that security requirement for a moment. The world we live in is fraught with security vulnerabilities, security exploits. We see it all the time. I get many notifications that a company I do business with has been hacked. My private information has been stolen, and it has downstream consequences for the consumer. So, you can never achieve 100% security. It's just not possible in today's modern world. But best practices are to stay as current as possible with all of your software updates and software fixes, right? And so that's a huge implication for most companies.
Well, one of the really interesting things that you've touched on there, Jim, is around the lack of, let's put it that way, upgrade cycle, right? Actually, what you haven't mentioned is that you do a weekly release as well. So that actually it's quite interesting, right? Because there must be some constraints that really your development, your product guys have to operate within to maintain that. But it is, having been partners of Xurrent for me for 3 or 4 years now, we've actually seen that really been maintained. It's quite a feat, I would say.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up. So we over a 12-month period that we tracked, we had actually done 84 releases in that 12-month period. So it was a little bit more than one a week.
Yeah.
And during that same time, we had 100% uptime.
Yeah.
Which we're tremendously proud of. I mean, that's exceptionally difficult. Now, if you think about modern DevOps and continuous deployment, continuous delivery principles, it starts to make a little bit more sense. When you change things very frequently, but very small things, it's much easier to do the QA testing on those small things and ensure that your customers are going to have a really good experience. And so, as you start to peel back the onion again, it's like, oh, this makes sense. If you do more frequent upgrades, you can potentially achieve greater results, better reliability, better performance for your customers. And so that's exactly the state we're in. And we have a tremendous engineering team. We have an excellent product and engineering team here. So we're very proud of those statistics.
Mm-hmm. It actually brings us quite nicely onto the sort of second topic that I wanted to talk to you about. So one of the reasons that you're able to offer those features, the stability, the speed of the platform, the ease of management configuration, or maintaining the configuration, is because actually the underlying data model is sacrosanct, right? You don't allow anybody to mess with that, right? So the core of the platform, everything is built from that, and that doesn't change. But that is very much centered around this sort of concept of service. Rather than being ITIL process aligned as a sort of foundational element, actually you are aligned around service. And one of the things that was really notable to us as a Xurrent partner is that that extends your enterprise service management capability, right, beyond IT very naturally, right? It's not what is the process for managing an incident. It's let's define the service, and the service could be an IT service or an HR service or a service that it's in another part of the business. So I guess the next question really is around identity. What do you see yourself as? Do you see yourself as a sort of true ESM tool set or as an ITSM tool set? I mean, where are you trying to sort of play in that space?
Yeah, great question. So that brings me back to my days in IT operations. So I think about the transition that I got to experience. The world of IT changed significantly while I was an active practitioner. It changed from server centric and configuration item centric into a service centric world. That's our modern world that we live in. The modern world is all about services, right? We're all consuming services in one way, shape, or form. And so to think about, IT service management platforms and where they originated, it makes sense that many are driven and centered around configuration items and ITIL processes. And there's a lot of good things in there. Okay, but you have to apply those good things to our modern world. And so this whole concept of service is the modern world. And so when I think about who we are as a platform, we are an ITSM and ESM provider, but we're a modern one. We're one that makes sense for our modern world. So we've applied where the world was headed, where the world was going. And remember, this software, this company really started in 2010. Okay, so it was after the transition towards the cloud and where everything became service oriented and subscription based. But we didn't forget that, hey, the IT operations team have all of these processes. They have all of these best practices. They have all of these workflows that make sense. They've been built over 30, 40, 50 years of experience, and they're exactly what's required to run your modern enterprise. And so we've blended the two. And so we still hold ITIL at the core of what we do. Right. ITIL is interesting. I was speaking to one of our customers the other day because we had our company kickoff and they came and spoke at our kickoff. I got to interview them and they told me that ITIL was becoming a bad word at their company, which I thought was very interesting. And it's not surprising to me, even as the transition to DevOps has occurred. ITIL, the whole idea of ITIL was like, well, how does that fit in? How does that make sense with DevOps and SREs and those different functions that are in modern companies? But at the core of it, ITIL is processes that have worked well for a really long time. And those ITIL processes fit exceptionally well into our modern world. So we keep those things. We're still certified ITIL. We're maintaining that. We will continue to maintain that. It's very important. But we also, are expanded out into other areas of the business. So enterprise service management is really important. And enterprise service management is really around extending, process automation capabilities to other areas. For example, we at Xurrent use Xurrent for onboarding. So when I joined Xurrent, a ticket was created in the system for me, and there's a whole onboarding workflow that ensures that I was going to get onboarded properly. My laptop was going to be ordered. I went through all the proper trainings. I did everything that I needed to do. It was all fully tracked in Xurrent. And it worked fantastically well. It's the best onboarding experience I've ever had at any company, period. So it's really, really important that other groups in large organizations start to use these type of capabilities, because it really is very valuable. It really keeps you on track and keeps you on task.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head before when you said, it's not just about IT service management. It's simply service management, because, somebody wants something or somebody needs something. How can that be processed through the tool set, right? So that's interesting to hear.
Yeah, let me give you a quick example, another example, because I think it's really important. So, right, I'm the head of product marketing for the company. We have a marketing team. We have a team of multiple people that are direct employees of the company. We have contractors that we work with that provide certain services to us. So again, there's that concept of a service, right? Like graphic design services. We also have other members of the organization that we need to interact with. We use Xurrent every day in marketing to track our work activities. We have a lot of things going on. And so let's say we need to create a new blog post. We create a ticket in Xurrent that tracks the creation of that blog post and has associated tasks, approval tasks. Everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to do and when they're supposed to do it, and you never lose track of it. It's absolutely fantastic. It's been such an important part of us as a relatively small team accomplishing a significant amount of work in a short period of time.
That's a great use case. Interesting.
And there's no bias there whatsoever, is there, Jim?
It's funny. I've used a lot of other solutions that help you track tasks, Kanban boards, all kinds of different solutions that are out there in the marketplace. So I'm used to using these type of solutions. And even though I work for the company, I can say with 100% integrity, I love our solution. So I do have bias, yes, but
Sure.
From just purely the product marketer inside of me evaluating different solutions, I love the solution we have.
That's good to hear. So I see in the marketing sort of stuff you have out there, it's Xurrent, and there's 3 words that accompany that: easy, advanced, and complete. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of thinking around those descriptors for us, Jim, and sort of expand on them perhaps?
Yeah, sure. So, this kind of gets back to differentiation. When you're trying to differentiate yourself in a market, you need to bring it back to something that's reasonably easy to understand. Nobody has time to dig into all the ones and zeros of every solution out there. It's just that consumer experience. That's not the experience I want or anybody else wants. And as we were, looking across the market, these 3 concepts really became very evident to us. So imagine a Venn diagram, right? Overlapping circles. One circle's easy, the other advanced, the other complete. And those 3 circles would overlap and intersect in the middle, right? And so you have intersections between easy and advanced, easy complete, and advanced complete, or all 3. And as we were looking at the competitive landscape, we realized that most companies really only fit into 2 of those 3, right? So again, let's pick on our 800-pound gorilla because it's a solution that most people are familiar with, and I'm not saying in any way their software is bad. I wouldn't dare say that, right? They have some quality software for sure and can create some great capabilities for their customers. But if I look at them, I see advanced and complete are 2 of the core tenets. Easy, kind of out the window, right? Because when you have to accommodate all edge cases and be everything to everyone, you start to throw out easy. That's just not possible. And so I look at other competitors, some of the smaller, more focused competitors, and they're at easy and advanced, but not really complete because of the enterprise service management portion of it. They really focus on ITSM, and that's all they do. And you can't really get added business value out of that solution to increase your overall return on investment. So that's the way we looked at the world, and we realized, hey, actually, we are in a very unique position. We consider ourselves to be the only service management solution on the market that is all 3 of those things. We're easy and advanced and complete. And what does that really mean? Okay, so how are we easy? Well, first of all, our implementation time, we've done implementations from signing the contract to getting the customer up and running fully in production in as little as 4 weeks. Now that's incredibly fast for our market that we're in. There's a lot of process that needs to be looked at, and you really need to do a lot of alignment. So 4 weeks is incredibly fast, but many of our customers are under 90 days. Like the full implementation takes under 90 days. So that's incredible. And why? Because we pre-package so many things, so many of these processes out of the box, and then you can tune them and tweak them with low code or no code capabilities, right? And we even have AI now that can do, you can prompt the AI and you can have automations built for you by our AI that knows how to do that for you. So that's one of the things that's really important to us. I already mentioned that it doesn't take many people to manage the system, so that's where the easy comes in as well. And it has a very intuitive user interface. It's one of the things we're focusing heavily on right now, is just making it easier and easier. So there's a lot of work going into that and advancements happening there. From an advanced perspective, I did mention AI. So we have our AI virtual agent that we released, which takes advantage of a whole bunch of underlying capabilities, AI-based capabilities in the platform, with automatic ticket classifications, looking up knowledge articles. We can build knowledge articles from a single note, right? The AI just builds it for you from a single note on a ticket. You can any knowledge article that exists, you can have the AI clean it up for you, because it's really good at that. And tech people are really bad at writing. Typically, I like raise my hand for that. I'm not great at writing, but if I write core content, the AI will clean it up beautifully for me, and I look like I'm much better at writing than I am. It's much easier to understand. So
it's the best spell check tool out there, you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Talk about a productivity saver. Just like that is beautiful. Like if I'm in a ticket and we've talked through some process and figured something out, I can just click a single button, the AI brain button, and it will build a knowledge article for me. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't even have to write it anymore. Like we already did it through the note portion of the app. So huge time saver, right? And then from Complete, we've talked about like this ITSM thing, this ESM thing, and then ITOM. We haven't even talked about IT operations management yet, and where we're headed as a company there. So we bought another company called StatusCast, which is status page software, which starts to get us into IT operations management from that incident management perspective. So that Easy Advanced Complete, it's a very simple thing to think about overall. There's a lot that is under the covers that really leads us to the fact that, we're really that one company that delivers all three.
And it's clever. It's clever, Jim. And this is in no way to belittle, the technology platform, right? But it is a clever way of positioning in the marketplace, right? Because you are able, as you just have done, in fact, to try and highlight some of the differentiators between Xurrent and some of the other technologies out there. To say, look, these guys offer you a very simple or easy solution, but actually maybe they don't offer the breadth across the organization that you're looking for, or it's an incredibly complex solution, right, with great capabilities, but what that comes at a cost, time, effort, money, whatever that cost may be. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
People need certain types of solutions, right? I don't want to take away from any other solution in the marketplace. Those solutions exist because customers need that. Exactly what those solutions offer. So we find that we believe we're in that sweet spot of the kind of that middle of the market where most people would be really happy utilizing our software.
Yeah. Well, look, this is Accession as well, right? We work with a number of different vendors. Why do we do that? Because actually the customer use case may dictate one solution is better than another, right? So we want to offer our customers that option.
Absolutely.
Why we work with you guys, right? Because you offer a great option to customers. So you've talked a little bit about AI, right? The next question really is just tell us a bit, if you can, right? Sometimes these things are a little bit difficult to talk about, but perhaps what's on the roadmap, right? What can we look forward to in the next, 3, 6, maybe 12 months, if you can see that far ahead? What's coming down the track?
Well, 12 months is an eternity in our business.
I know. But, I'm hopeful when I ask that question. I hope someone's going to pluck something out. But
yeah, so I do have a good answer for you. I can give you some ideas. I can't give you all of the specifics today, but there's some good things in the works right now. But just generally as an idea of where we're headed. So first of all, we are continuing to invest in IT service management and enterprise service management. So let me make that very clear as we begin this conversation. We know there's a lot more that we can do to make an even better experience and create more differentiation in a market that's very difficult to differentiate in. So we're working on those things right now. We realized we wanted to create a easier user experience. Every once in a while, you have to spruce up your user interface. You've got to, go with the most recent design aesthetics and practices. So we're working on that right now. We have multiple blog posts. We have content about that currently on our website. So we're working on user experience, user interface, the design, just trying to streamline it. We're going to be bringing in tool tips, work guidance within the platform to help guide people, just to make it easier to consume our software, because everybody needs those little tool tips. I need them. Everybody needs them when you're in new software, just to help you get the most out of the software. So we're working on that. And so that's near term. That's within, we've already started. You'll see more within the next 3 months. We'll probably have the majority of our work there and this go around completed but within 6 months. And you'll never see us stop looking at that. That's something we'll always continue to look at. But we thought it was time for kind of a major update and refresh. So that's one of the things. I mentioned this whole IT operations management thing, and this is really important. We're expanding the platform to incorporate, I talked about StatusCast already, which is status page software. So think of, the services that you depend upon or your customers depend upon, put them all on a single page, have red, green, yellow lights to show the status up, down, or degraded. And that integrates already with ITSM, our incident management portion of our ITSM. So let's say there's a ticket, users start to call in and say, this service is down for me. That will automatically get reflected on the status page. So that reduces the number of tickets into your service desk, and it frees up your resources, right? Because people can just go look at the status page and know if there's already a reported issue there. So if it's reported already, they don't have to do anything and just keep looking at the status page for when it turns back to green, and then start using that service again. So that's a huge productivity improvement overall for a company to get into those status pages. In addition to that, we're expanding even further in the incident management realm. And when we think about where issues are, we think about, managing incidents. There's still a disconnect between the teams. There's the help desk, which is sort of disconnected from when there's a major incident. There's a war room that gets created. There's an incident manager. There's a whole bunch of activities going on, and that communication often is siloed. It's siloed into just the war room at that given time. Whoever might be on, I quote the war room, but whoever might be on a phone call, the conference line at any given time. And people need different perspectives into what's going on during those. I sat in and participated in many of those when I was in IT operations, and we would constantly have executives that would call in for a status update. Like, why are they even calling in? That doesn't even make sense. So provide the right data from the right perspective to that executive, provide the right data to everyone, and synchronize the data across all of IT so that everyone knows exactly what is the state of an incident at any given time. Make sure all the right people are involved in it. And it really would be a huge efficiency gain. And then once you have all that information contained centrally, you can start to do much more better analytics on that, and then track the root cause follow-up actions. Like those root cause follow-up actions, those were hit or miss in my company, like whether or not they were actually going to be completed. And I know I've spoken to other companies today where it's still the same case. Did someone really go back and really fix this thing so we don't have the same issue happen again? And so we want to help fix that problem, because it still is a major problem for companies today. And so you'll see us making investments towards that end.
It's interesting. And you also have, and I'm just conscious of the time, but you also have a top guy in your team, Scott Hutchins, who runs your AI and integration capabilities there as well. So I'm guessing Scott's probably got some changes that'll come down the line at some point.
Yeah, we also just had an Imagineering day, like a hackathon type of activity, and saw the team in action, and what they were able to build in a single day just really blew my mind. And so those things that resulted from that are going to get added to the product. There's work streams to get those added to product. So you mentioned Scott specifically. Scott's an amazing guy, incredibly talented. I can't have a single conversation with Scott without learning something new. Like, he blows my mind every time I talk to him. So really happy to have him on board and helping drive some of these capabilities.
Learning something new, Jim, and also realizing that you don't know like 10 things or 100 things. You know what I mean? It's like he shines a light in one corner and you realize how big the room is.
Exactly.
Okay, look, well, that's brilliant, right? That insight into the roadmap is fantastic. So, excuse me, for both existing and prospective new customers, right? That's a good insight into where you're going, and I think some of the the outcomes, right, that you guys can solve for them. So I think we're sort of coming to the point of wrapping up. I wonder whether Dan's voice is ready to ask some rapid fire questions.
Yep. No, some great insights there, Jim, and yeah, we're sort of coming to the end of the session as we'd sort of planned. So do have a couple of rapid fire questions for you. And I know you've seen these before, so I hope you've got some rapid answers for us as well. So I'll kick off. So what 3 things should a prospective customer double down on when they look at the Xurrent platform?
Yeah. Look at the speed of the platform. Absolutely. Huge differentiator for us. You'll notice no lag as you're clicking from page to page, and consider what is the outcome of that for my team. Huge thing there. Think about the ease of use of the platform and the amount of resources that it's going to take to manage this platform. So you need to be more efficient, right? That's the end goal here in our current day and time. Be more efficient. So think about how that's going to factor in, and also think about where we're headed as a company. Do you want to be on this journey with us? We're really trying to do something special here, and we want to take you to a place that you haven't been able to get to before. So I think that's one of the most important items is if you share the same vision, you're not getting that vision from other folks. You're getting that vision from us. So we want to partner with you and be on that journey together.
Okay. Question 2 then. So who would be your ideal customer?
Yeah. So anybody with, regulatory requirements, high security needs, our platform, we didn't talk too much about security, but our AI is highly secure. We don't use customer data to train the models at all. We don't store the AI data. We use models that are already pre-trained for us in AWS Bedrock, which is an implementation of Anthropic's Claude. So highly secure, highly regulated environments. We're focusing this year on companies in the mid-market space. We can, we have, larger enterprise customers. We have small business customers. We are focused in that middle market right now. We think it makes a lot of sense for where we are as a company and the capabilities we offer that we offer currently. So I would say that's, it spreads across many different industry verticals, but we're staying focused on mid-market for now, like 500 to 10,000 size companies.
Okay. And I know we've spoken a little bit about the roadmap, but more generally speaking, where does Xurrent want to be in 2026? So looking a little further afield than the 12 months that Sunil kind of posited, let's leap into next year. Where would Xurrent like to be there, do you think?
Yeah, we want to be that company that is looked at as a leader in transitioning the state of IT to much more high value. So IT is tremendously valuable. There's a lot of that value stays locked away. We want to help unlock that value and make sure that people across all other parts of enterprises are aware of the tremendous value that the IT organization is providing, again, through combining a bunch of data, doing the data analysis on it, and presenting that in the right ways to the right people at the right time.
Fantastic. Jim, thank you ever so much for joining us today. Really great conversation. To our listeners, if you've got any questions or you'd like to find out more about Xurrent, I'm sure Jim would be more than happy to have a conversation with you. So reach out to him on LinkedIn. Similarly, if you'd like to get in touch with us here at Accession, we'd be happy to talk to you about Xurrent all day long. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Sunil. Take care.